guest lecture organized by Vishisht School of Management. And today's speaker is Dr. Aabha Sharma, who is a renowned educationist, academician, and presently serving as the head School of Education, GD Goenka University, Gurugram. And the topic is very utmost important, and everyone, we all are connected directly to this topic, transformation of education post-lockdown. So we will not take much more time. Now I request Professor Ranjana Rajak for welcome address.
Good afternoon to respected Dr. Aabha Sharma ma'am, Dr. Naveen Naran, Managing Director, Vishisht School of Management, Dr. S.M. Anas Iqbal, Director, Vishisht School of Management, faculties from different institutes, and dear students. I, Professor Ranjana Rajak, on behalf of Vishisht School of Management, welcomes you all on our 6th online guest lecture, that is Transformation of Education Post-Lockdown. For this, we have our today's guest, Dr. Aabha Sharma. She is head of department from GT Goenka University, Gurugram. She has 20 years of experience in education, and prior to taking up her current role, she worked as a principal, head of department, teacher, counselor, and a University Grant Commission Junior Research Fellow. She is also a PhD supervisor who are doing research in the area of gender sensitization, skill development, and ICT. She is an active member of All India Association of Education Research, Bhubaneswar. She was also a researcher in the project of Ministry of HRD, New Delhi. As Malcolm said, education is the passport to the future for tomorrow, belongs to those who prepare for it today. So with this line, I may call upon Dr. Aabha Sharma to continue with her session. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Ranjana, and thank you, Dr. Anas Iqbal. Namaskar and welcome to Literary Club of Vishisht School of Management. I thank you all for taking your time to participate in this guest lecture series, which is important for education, students, educators, administrators around the globe. My name is Dr. Aabha Sharma, and I am heading School of Education, GD Goenka University, Gurugram. Today, I'm going to speak on the topic transformation of education post-lockdown. So please change the slide. So what is breaking is the music, which is not cancelled, the family, which is not cancelled, reading, pets, singing, laughing, and hope, which all are not cancelled. So let's embrace what we have. See, now what is important is the emergence of total technology mediated education, that is education 4.0. Sir, next slide, please. So important is the education which was 1.0, which was basically focusing on the lectures and memorization, and it hopped to education 2.0, which was internet enabled learning, and again it hopped on education 3.0, which was knowledge producing education, and now in the present era, it is known as Education 4.0, which is innovation producing education. So, this COVID-19 will leave no sector in any country and in the world unaffected. And you know what, its consequences basically will be felt for the years to come. The new total technology mediated education is termed as Education 4.0. And after the first three waves of education system that evolved over 2000 years of civilization, those were the Gurukul system, and wherein, one teacher was teaching to a few of the pupils, the elite people, and the traditional university system, wherein one teacher to many of the learners were there, and the distance learning, which is one to many learners across the spectrum. Set the next slide, please. At a time when huge efforts were being deployed to transform And to improve the higher education in India, the education sector is undergoing a tectonic shift. What is tectonic shift is the long term and the sustainable triumph of this tectonic shift will depend on the 7 major elements, and these 7 major elements of online learning are uh, uh, online learning is not a kind of a, you can say a kind of a library of video lectures and ebooks that converts the class notes into the PDFs. um, it's creating high quality digitalized learning, wherein the content must be contextualized and bite sized to make learning interesting and engaging, of course. And doing this takes a rare skill, which is very much important. The skill sets which few organizations in the world can boast of. The universities need to collaborate with such organizations for their digital pivots to be successful. And in the future, definitely the education sector is going to have merge with the technology and the other industries. So the subject matter which is covered in the classroom is to be delivered online now, but with technology as the intermediary. That is important. And the blind replication of the same is a bad idea, but it requires a kind of a great deal, to understand and application of learning science and digital pedagogy. Every teaching faculty needs to be enabled with this knowledge, and or else the collaboration with the experts is a way forward. The classrooms have typically diverse learner groups. Institutions again need to spend as much time on the context for the diverse learner profiles, or you can say as on the content. And you have to weave both the content and the context into the program design. So that is important, to weave or to blend the context and the content. See, now the new technologies, which are including the emerging sciences of artificial intelligence, and you can say the deep learning models, they can help us, help us to create the customized learning plans and methods. And higher education institutions must embrace these quickly to to overcome the ills of this, what is the current digital higher education is there. So the online learning is not about, a kind of one pedagogical model, but an aggregate of various models. You need to blend the different models, the way we do in our classroom also, that we don't always stick on one method of a lecture teaching. We always blend different types of method. We try to, include the demonstrations as and when, wherever necessary. And we also try to take students to the field trips, to the laboratories, to different types of places. We try to make the learning more interesting by aggregating various models. And it is indeed a specialized learning science that basically combines the learning psychology, behavioral analytics, content delivery, and assessments, so as to gauge and measure individuals learners journey and progress. So that is important. So now putting up the learning science and not technology in the forefront, what we can do, the learning, we can say that learning is about gradually inducing the changes in learners' actions and behavior. That always we say that education is changing the learners or students' behavior and actions. So in the same way, the learning process in incremental steps induces the change in you can say change in thinking and mental models of the learner through you can say through a deep understanding and conceptual strengthening. So after each learning episode, what will happen, that learner will be able to apply the acquired knowledge, whatever he has understood, into the practical situations of life and profession, or you can say the workplace. So each teaching uh, uh, faculty needs to be massively retrained. All teaching fraternity needs to be massively retrained and oriented for this online teaching learning mode. While they could be content experts or great classroom teachers, they need to place equal importance to learning science in digital media. So that is important. So, of course, even in the post-COVID-19 era, offline or conventional education models will become outdated, but still they will survive. We cannot say that, we will be completely off of the offline teaching. However, blended learning, you need to again blend. A combination of classroom and online modes will be the norm. That will be the new normal. So institutions and teachers will blend the two judiciously according to the context and the content. So the next slide, please. So now shifting to the UGC guidelines. So next slide. Yeah. So there was a report on April 13th, 2020, which was quoting the chairman of the University's Grant Commission, UGC, as saying, among other things, that to maintain social distancing, online learning and e-education were the only way out, and that was the need of the hour for students, teachers, and the education system as a whole. This statement was meant to prepare the higher education community for the exigencies of an indefinite period of closure of campuses. The chairman of the UGC told the news agencies that we are seeing at this time of COVID-19 and even later, when all of this is over, to give a push to online education. It is important for improvement in the gross enrollment ratio in the country. It was also reported that online education was likely to be adopted as a strategy to enhance the gross enrollment ratio in higher education. See, this is again very important because, so next slide, please. This is again very important because, if we want the admissions, we need to get dependent on the new strategies which are being suggested. So for the improvement in the gross enrollment ratio. So what I believe is, happiness is the new rich, and inner peace is the new success. Health is the new wealth, and kindness is the new cool. So I wish that everyone go rich, everyone go successful, wealthy, and be cool. So then we move on to, what we are doing right now during the lockdown. See, I'm very happy to see that the way the children in the lockdown are constantly making an effort, to top their innate creativity. And how they are doing that, you can see in the internet, on the Facebook, on WhatsApp, on other Twitter, and other this social sites, that the students and the children are posting their creativity, while some are discovering joy in the gardens, and others have taken to pen and paper. Some are doing something on the canvas with the canvas and colors, and few are singing, and playing the musical instruments, and to be their expressive best. So students are also seen, along with that, students are also seen unearthing their innate compassion, and young learners have become more sensitive and considerate. So what they are doing, they're enriching, what we are doing, we are enriching the students' emotional quotient, and that was considered a major challenge in the pre-COVID time. So it now seems to have found a natural solution this way. And the pandemic has also better equipped the young learners with the life skills So something that earlier remained restricted to the school curriculum. Today, students can be seen practicing the same in their daily lives as they help their family members in various household chores such as cooking, washing, mopping, and doing the laundry, redoing home decor, making a list of groceries, and even trying to manage and stuff what is available at home. So they're they're trying to minimize the wastage, etc. Children, again, you can say that they have a rebonded they children have rebonded with their grandparents and the elders at home, which pre-COVID-19 was seeing a declining trend, due to various reasons. As families stay together longer, familial relationships have fostered, and steering the mental and the emotional growth of young minds in a very positive and a progressive direction. So as young minds become more responsible, socially sensitive, and cooperative, we seem to be providing a holistic education, the all-round development of an individual that we have always aimed for in our education system. And every time the world has to face these kind of challenges, it was only a dynamic leadership which that saved the day. And today too, as the world battles a crisis of an unprecedented nature, we seek reassurance in our leadership. And this is the way the pandemic and the crisis that ensured our shaping and will shape our children. So we can reveal in the prospect of having able leaders who will guide for a better tomorrow. So next slide. So what is important is a revitalized teacher, geared to overcome challenges of education. So basically what actually the teacher needs to do, if there is one thing the COVID-19 crisis has taught us, it is the significance of, it is very important, the significance of thinking on our feet. This is honestly, which really worked very well. And the need to innovate, experiment, and explore, enhancing the research skill has resurfaced more than ever. And I'm delighted to see that, it is the teachers or the educators who have emerged as the forerunners in the journey of change. I really appreciate the hard work of the educators they are doing, so as to overcome these challenges. Now from a chalk and board to the virtual classroom, from class tests to online assessments, and from the oral lessons to the PowerPoint presentations based on the learning, and from in-person conversations to the interactions on platforms like Zoom, GoToMeeting, Google Meets, and Teams, teachers have crossed a long and unbeaten path, which is really appreciable. But even as teachers lean on technology like never before, that important thing is the humane touch, which no one can replace, and it remains intact. This human touch remains intact, which is very important. Even when classes happen online, the educators know, which of their learner need to be handled which way, in which concept he needs the help. So it's heartening to see the enormous patience, compassion, and confidence these educators display while disbursing knowledge online. While the world has woken up to the reality of e-learning and online classes, people also realize that, while technology can be a great facilitator, it can't replace the real teacher in the real world. So after all, only a real teacher in the real world understands her children like a mother cares for them wherever they are, whenever they want. So the world we live in today is, you can say it's rather a dynamic one, and things will continue to change. we cannot stick on one thing. You need to embrace the change. You need to fight with the challenges, and you need to cope up with whatever the situation says you to. And but one thing we can be certain of is that our educators will be able to keep up with the change, and no matter how steep it is. So I always embrace that and always try to cope up with the situations, say what. So next slide. So this is what is the future of the education, and we need to cope up with that. Okay, now what is important is the post-lockdown. So the UGC panel wants colleges to follow, certain rules when they reopen. This is again very important because this is given by the committee which was formed by the UGC, and an expert UGC committee they had suggested that all the universities and colleges across the country should develop a foolproof plan before beginning the new academic session in 2020-21 in August or September this year. So the foolproof plan of should include the recording of the travel or the stay history of all students and faculty members, adhering to social distancing norm. This is again very important. Sir, next slide. So to overcome this, we have a kind of overcrowded classrooms which should be avoided. So adequate space for each individual student, which was suggested by the committee, should be provided in the classroom. And educational institutions will have this opportunity to creatively think of ways in which you can address the issues of the social or the physical distancing. It goes without saying that institutional planning to incorporate these changes must be given priority, and that is important. A radical suggestion of splitting the classes of larger classes basically into the two sections to maintain the social distancing may also be suggested, and students attend the classes on alternate days from Monday through Saturday. And not all classes will start physically once the schools and the colleges reopen. So next slide. So in the post-lockdown, again, what is important is the training faculty to go digital. The report submitted to UGC suggests the ways in which institutes can prepare themselves to, deal with the similar crisis in future. And the universities shall strictly comply with all precautions, and along with that, the preventive measures to curb the spread of coronavirus. In view of the importance of social distancing, universities may take necessary steps to ensure that the students are given exposure to laboratory assignments or practical experiments through virtual laboratories. So sharing of the recorded visuals of laboratory work and digital resources available for the purpose. So that should be taken into consideration. Next slide. In order to overcome such challenges in future, the faculty should be adequately trained for the use of online teaching tools, and so that they complete about 25% of the syllabus through online and 75% of the syllabus through face-to-face teaching. This is again suggested by the committee of UGC, and institutes have also been advised to develop virtual classrooms and video conferencing facilities. All teaching staff should be trained with the use of the technology. Universities should prepare e-content, e-lab experiments, and upload the same on their websites. This is again a new normal going to happen. Then training faculties to go digital because the digital thrust will not end with the lockdown. And the universities will have to develop the virtual classroom and video conferencing facilities which can be assessed anytime. And all teaching staff will be trained to teach digitally. The training as per the recommendations will include ICT, that is information and communication technology, along with digital teaching apps and tools. Educational institutions, we can say that they can help by working towards providing the recorded videos and audio lessons in CDs, or the internet for the use by the students as a study material. Besides, special apps can be formulated for students to be able to access it at any time, and also a means to contact students with any information more efficiently at any given time can be formulated. So next slide. So I believe that, always believe that tough times never last, but tough people do. So be tough. Uh, um, I really bow down my head to all the healthcare officials and the professionals working day and night to help and to fight with coronavirus patients and everyone. Healthcare services and provisions again must be prioritized in the educational institutions, because the healthcare centers should be along with that, the healthcare centers should be fully equipped to handle all the emergency situations, following all standard operating procedures in case of the serious cases. And sanitization facilities should be made readily available in abundance, and the safety, along with that, the safety and the security of all working officials, the administrators, the working staff, faculties, students, and all employees should be taken care of. Along with that, the free medical checkups should be done and conducted via the medical camps that should be arranged and scheduled periodically. So adequate sorry, adequate knowledge of diseases coupled with information on medical and healthcare services will definitely enable all the people to respond maturely. See, the healthcare centers or units in an institution must be set up and kept on high alert, for any of the emergency situation which comes anytime. And in addition, they can, must make necessary arrangements for thermal screening as soon as people return back to the institutions upon reopening, and appropriate steps should be taken. The UGC also suggests that the universities to devise a pro forma to record the travel or the stay history of the staff and the students for the period when they were away from the university due to the lockdown. So along with the medical, the university needs to take care of the hostel mess and the canteens and the kitchens and the food courts, and they also needs to be maintained with a high standard of cleanliness and hygiene. Now the canteens should provide the fresh and organic healthy food and snacks, and the nutritionists can be involved in planning and managing food and catering for you can say the health, and also to build the immunity. So healthy eating and exercising regimes may also go a long way in combating diseases and such type of pandemics, and staying physically strong and mentally fit. This way everyone can maintain an equilibrium amongst their cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains, which is definitely going to help them to cope up with such type of pandemic situations. Now, next is the curricular programs. See, the curricular programs should be reviewed and made suitable to the demands of these complex times. And there is, a huge need for the knowledge on mental health and hygiene, education and skill in technology, physical and health education, along with vocational oriented courses, lessons on ethics and human values such as compassion and tolerance, basically to for the practical projects in your helping the poor and the underprivileged in disciplines in the society that may be introduced at all levels of education. Such type of disciplines can be a mandatory component for all fields of study, whether it may be a science or arts or commerce or management or agricultural studies or professional or technical programs. Uh, these all can be done by uh, making some of the other alternative arrangement for education. So on days at home, students can be updated with the recorded lessons, and or they can go online for the classes and prepare assignments accordingly. And this is a suggestion that can be taken into consideration, that by educational institution, and they can incorporate wherever possible and wherever approved by concerned higher authorities to flip the class, that is the in class activities and the out class activities can be moved inside the class, and the classroom activities are more activity oriented and child centered that way. So next slide, please. So now a few of the suggestions on how teachers can make up for the time non-teaching days in an institutions. So they can take extra classes, one or two every day, Monday through Friday. They can make the Saturday or regular working day with few classes and co-curricular activities, and they can take extra care of judiciously utilize their time during institutional hours, for instance by taking less time for taking roll calls or attendance, and the shorter lunch or the recreation time, and holding the smart classes that way. So next slide. So now what is important is the way forward, the open online courses. The open online courses, there are plenty of open online courses which are available on XMOOC. That is the most common type of massive open online courses, which is organized around a central processor and the core curriculum. The CMOOC, that is Connectivity Massive Open Online Courses, that resembles the graduate seminar courses for student discussion, with the core of the learning coming from student to student interaction, and a DOCC, that is Distributed Online Collaborative Courses, in which the same core courses material is distributed to students, institutions, but the exact administrators of the material can vary. BOOC, that is Big Open Online Courses, are similar to massive open online courses, but limited to smaller number of students, maybe you can say around 50 students. Sir, next slide, please. Next is the synchronous massive online courses, where the lectures are broadcast live, requiring students to log in at specific times in order to hear the lectures. And small private online courses are similar to BOOCs, but the students' teacher interactions are more closely modeled after traditional classroom interactions. Next is the nano open online courses, which were meant to empower learners to learn on the essentials of one competency, skill, or area of knowledge at time within 20 learning hours or less. So this depends upon one's preferences, which you want to opt for. So next slide, please. So now this is what is the future of e-learning, and we have to keep learning and keep moving forward. This was given by Peter Fisk, and we have to opt for this. So next slide, please. I believe in the future of education, and future of education is you. So embrace the change. And this is going to be the new normal, which we have to opt for. See, e-learning is here to stay. The blended learning is viable model, relooking traditional methodologies, then innovations, creativity, and acquiring new skills, technological advancements using technology and internet, accelerated pace of change, unlearning, relearning, and academic institutions are going to invest more in digitalization, use of technology using OER. So next slide. Strengthening learner support, and along with that, using the data to drive teaching, innovation, and research, and continuous feedback and recognition, along with the personalized learning, human literacy, and then along with that, we need to take the demands for the knowledge creation, uh, data literacy, technological literacy, new avenues of education are there, changing dynamics of education content, flexibility and totally open, and then emergence of new educational models are there, changes in management and accountability. So next slide. Demands for learner community who are digitally native, then employability of graduates, and paperless and ebooks and e-mentors, strengthening learner support, using the data to drive teaching, innovation, and research, copyright issues, creative common license, and open educational resources. We are going to be completely dependent on this in the future. And now to conclude is to create an advantageous position for 666 million young Indians who are below 25 years of age, but also to look beyond and prepare the workforce for tomorrow's knowledge intensive and technology driven work environment. It goes without saying that in the coming years, working from home, sharing the workforce time for multiple tasks, and even working for multiple employers may become a reality for a greater proportions of professionals. So next slide. या मैं कुछ नरेश कुमार शाद जी की दो लाइन प्रस्तुत करने जा रही हूँ. इतना भी ना उम्मीद दिले कम नजर न हो, इतना भी ना उम्मीद दिले कम नजर न हो, मुमकिन नहीं कि शाम अलम की सहर न हो. So I always believe that it might be stormy now, but rain doesn't last forever. So thank you for patient listening. Be happy. May God bless you all. Any questions? If there, please let me know.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Any questions?
Any questions? May please unmute their mic and ask. Suhas sir?
Hello.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Dr. Suhas Dhande. I was keen to know that, as you told in your lecture, that in canteen, special care is to be taken by the colleges, but ultimately will depend on the responsibility will lie on the colleges or the administration itself. But do you think any monitoring authority should be there or will be there to monitor all these things, whether proper health, proper sufficient precautions are taken or not?
See, we all comes under the umbrella of UGC, and I think we need to always obey what the committee suggests and the reports come for. The universities and the colleges definitely need to prepare or make a committee or a flying squad of that sort, which can take care of all these hygiene and that kind of things, which will definitely going to make a change. And I believe that I always believe in the karma. What you give, it comes back to you. And if you will give the protection is definitely going to come back to you. So I always believe that the hygiene, cleanliness, and the love of care and affection starts with the kitchen and ends in the kitchen. So I always believe that if you give the positivity from your food, the positivity is going to come back to you. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, yes.
Hello,
Any
Yes, sir. Go
myself
ahead, sir.
Namaste from Devas. Ma'am, I want to know what is blended learning? Do you
Ha. See, blended learning is a type of learning wherein we blend two of the methodologies. It's not that we always stick on one method, or the way we stick on the lecture method. So we go on opting for different types of methods. So wherein if after the post lockdown, we will not completely depend upon the offline learning or the online learning. So we have to blend two types of learning altogether. That is, we can send the video lectures or the links to the students a day before the lecture, and when they'll be there for the inline class, or when they'll be there for the face-to-face learning, they will be, provided some hand-on activities, maybe kind of a discussions or debates or some activities kind of extempore, or any activities which depends upon that context and that content. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
any more
Any more
questions?
question?
Hello.
Doc- Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Jalaj Katare.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I want to ask Madam regarding the flipped classroom.
I think you're asking about flipped classroom.
Mentioned about the flipped classroom concept. So, can she elaborate regarding the flipped classroom?
Yes, flipped classroom, basically, that's what I told you. There are two types of modes in that. That is in-class activities and out-class activities. So, whenever convert our teaching learning process to flipped classroom model, what we do, a day prior to the content which we have to teach, we send the links, the videos and the PowerPoint presentations, anything whichever is prepared and whichever goes with your content, to the students a day prior. The students learn that thing at their home, that is away from the school. They go through they go through the videos, they go through the teaching learning instructional materials, and when they come next day to the class, they are little prepared about about that particular content. The content is then discussed, if any clarifications needed, or any activities are then planned for the in-class activities or the in-class mode of flipped classroom. So the class is flipped. That is, what was given prior, that the assignments students have to do at home, now the assignments and the discussions are there in the classroom, and the teaching is there at home. So it's flipped मतलब उल्टा सीधा कर देते, flip कर देते हैं.
So, Madam, with most of the institute of with most of the students, it is the challenge that they
Sir,
are not prepared.
जलस सर, आपकी आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है बार बार. आप शायद नेटवर्क में
If
नहीं
we
है.
are providing the case study prior to discussion of the case study, the most of the students are not reading about the cases, and they are not well prepared about the so this is, I think, in case the again is how the classroom is
Sir, whatever I could understood is that, I mean, your voice was breaking. So whatever I could understand was that, the students are not coming prepared with whatever the, instructional material has been given to students. Am I correct? Yeah. So I think he's not there now. Mr. Jalaj is not there. He went offline. Still, I'll answer.
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
He is there. He is there.
Okay, so still I'll answer that. He is saying that the students don't come prepared, they don't study. Sir, I always believe that there is a very important T between the teacher and the taught, and that is the trust. So if you trust your students, the trust comes back to you. And it's the strength of the teacher, the strength of the educator, how he or she needs their students to study and to come prepared with. So the way you give the instructions, the way you have a connect with your students, the students will definitely going to respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yashri Dubey from Indore.
Hi,
First of
Yash.
all, ma'am, thank you so much for such an engaging and enriching discussion.
Thank you.
My question to you is, how you see the future of this traditional courses, like will it be still there? These traditional courses, because your focus was relooking the traditional methodologies. So what do you think, how this traditional courses will go?
See, traditional courses definitely are going to survive. We cannot breathe in without that. But as I said that, it's not only one thing with the help of which you can, progress or process in future. You need to make the changes, and, you need to embrace these changes. So more of a blended kind of thing, more of an interdisciplinary kind of, subjects will definitely pop up. And you can say in the last and in the past, previously it was only biology, it was only chemistry. Later on, this biochemistry popped up, isn't it? So in the
Yeah.
same way, in the future, there will be some interdisciplinary courses wherein two of the courses will blend and a new kind of discipline is going to emerge. Thank you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Any more questions?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Sonia Oja, Assistant Professor, Mata Gujari College from Jabalpur. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, I have one question, that how do you see the applicability of ICT tools in special context of Indian villages?
See, again, there is a kind of a problem when it is when we concentrate to the rural area and the underprivileged. So in this context, NCRT and these kind of institutes are working very hard, and there are new channels which are for free. And nowadays, because there is a trend of television in the rural area, e-television programs are in the wave, and many students who really want to study, they are taking care of that, and they are getting benefited because of this e-television, with the help of e-Pathshala, with the help of the platforms like e-Shiksha, Shiksha, I'm sorry, Shiksha and NROER. So there are a lot many platforms with the help of which the learner can be benefited. The thing is, learner needs to learn. Thank you.
One more thing I would like to ask you. Ma'am, we have linguistic barriers as well. Most of the online materials, the classes and the courses have been in English or either in Hindi. So if we are talking about the southern India, so there should be a language barrier. And we have various strata of education also. We are talking about the government schools, and we have English medium schools. I mean to say, there will be various strata. So is it possible for all the status people to adhere to these?
See, in OER, that is Open Educational Resources, there are plenty of courses, there are plenty of material which can be served and distributed to any, despite of the caste, color, creed, and the area. And these kind of courses are there in the regional language as well. And this is what is being suggested, that many channels are there wherein you can put your own videos related to your regional language, and you can satisfy the students that way, because this is always said that, you know, if the instructional material are there in the mother tongue, it's understood well. So we need to take care of that as well. So students and the teachers are, you know, trying hard to put up the videos and the learning materials in their regional language as well. So, you know, if you will find, if you will dig a little, if you just click a little, you will find plenty of stuff available on the sites, available on OER, available on the national sites, and government is working very hard to, you know, to disseminate these instructional material to all strata of people, whether they are rural people, they are from the urban area, and they are of different languages. So I think government is trying hard, and I think students and the teachers needs to cope up with all these and take the maximum benefit out of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, any more questions?
Sir, I have a question. Can I?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. It's
afternoon.
Professor Namandeep Singh from Vishisht School of Management, Indore. I have a simple question as you discuss about the many teaching methods and online teaching methods. I want to ask, what would be the process of assessment after lockdown, means post-lockdown? How students will be assessed after learning, and how we can take the examination? What will be the mode of examination to test their knowledge?
See, I'll tell you, in our university, we are done with the practical examination online only. And we are very successful in that. We have organized all the practical examination of education department and other departments as well, online only. And I think from next week, the students are going to write the online theory examinations as well. So there are many sites and the platforms with the help of which you can organize these, you know, e-examinations and e-assessments. One is exam.net, and Google Classroom is there. Along with that, there are many apps, that is quizzes and Google Classroom, and many platforms and apps are there with the help of which Hot Potatoes is there. So with the help of which you can do this online assessments very easily, very easily. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, any more? Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful and very informative sessions. And now I request Professor Goenka Sharma to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to our most valued honorable guests and all the dignitaries gathered over here. I, Professor Priyanka Sharma, consider the occasion as an honor and privilege to extend vote of thanks. Today, I take this opportunity to put all my work, to put all my gratitude to work. On behalf of Vishisht School of Management and the entire fraternity of the institution, I would like to extend my most sincere thanks to our guest, Dr. Aabha Sharma, who spared time from her busiest schedule to grace the occasion. I express my hearty thanks to our Managing Director, Dr. Naveen Narang, for his presence. I would also like to thank our Director, Dr. S.M. Iqbal, for his moral support and guidance. And lastly, I would like to express our gratitude to all the dignitaries for showing their interest and making this event successful with your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and all the participants. A special thank to Dr. Rajesh Vyas, Principal, Christian Eminent, Dr. Sohas Dhande, Principal, Chameli Devi College, Dr. Sonal Sisodia, Principal, Delhi College of Business, and all the participants who are connected to different parts of this universe. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you
for inviting us.
May I take your leave now? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.